Okay, I guess let's begin. So today we have not that many issues actually, which is cool. I guess it's mostly about Hardfork 24. So on that, I think, I don't know what's missing on your part, block trade, but on my end, almost done with the slow DAO convert. I know Gandalf did a review. I don't know how thorough he was.
I think it's more a testing review than a code review.
But yeah, he found a few issues, namely that it couldn't replay, which is not fixed. And also we were missing a few tests, which I added. And also I fixed a few tests that were broken because of that. Namely, now you can transfer a Hive to the DAO, well, the Hive development fund. No, the decentralized Hive fund. Sorry, I'm lost with all the names, which made a few Hardfork 24 tests fail. So I fixed pretty much all of them. Now the pipeline is working. And the only thing that's missing from the tests right now is the exclude from the haircut calculation, which I'd like to have on a proper unit test because it can be fickle, this kind of stuff. But yeah, that shouldn't take that much time. I'm planning to tackle that this afternoon or tomorrow. So that should be fairly quickly done. And yeah, that's about it on what's missing. Oh yeah, but yeah, there is other stuff, but we'll get to that later, I guess. What about you, Backtrace?
So we've been making progress, but it's been rough this week. We fixed a couple bugs. We fixed a bug in the state info loading restoring code, and then I think maybe two problems we found with Hive Mind integration, Hive Mind integration. One just fixed today, and we're getting ready to finish up testing for that, I guess. So I think we're a little behind where I was hoping to be at this point. So while it's still possible we could have a release candidate at the end of this week, I think it's increasingly unlikely. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're a week beyond my original hopes as far as the 30 days from when I wrote the post. So we'll still see, but my guess is we've probably got another week added onto the schedule at this point.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that makes sense. Okay, so then I guess we will add to the mix the renaming of a few files because right now we have a few files named files and classes and I guess virtual operations called SPS underscore something, which would be better if we could rename them to DHF something. The issue is that then we'll have prior to Hardfork 24 some virtual operations called SPS fund, for instance, and post 24 will have DHF fund, which might look a bit funky when it's pretty much the same thing. Not sure how you guys feel about it.
I prefer not to make any changes at this point related to more branding changes, just because I just want to get out what we got right now. So I want to kind of cut off any changes to the Hive D code base that aren't bug fixes at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that important anyways. It's mostly about
exactly. Since it's just a sort of appearance thing, and it's not something anybody really sees normally, except a few devs. I don't think it's worth possibly messing with their timeline.
Yeah,
anyway, if I can give a little word, if you feel new changes are needed, you always can create merge request targeting develop branch, which will be released a lot time after current release, so such changes will not die in the code and be included in further releases. So there is no block to stop development. We just don't want to add additional code to current release because we don't want to make it unstable again. Since it seems that Hive it's quite stable and there is no need to fix a lot of things there. So there are small things that's related to some APIs directly used by HiveMind, but definitely such code is not very important from consensus point of view. So
yeah, I can agree with that.
So, I mean, yeah, as Bartek said, I think so. Development can continue on stuff beyond hard fork 24. It just won't be merged in a master. We'll just keep it in the dev code, or assuming it's something that won't impact our work in dev. And I'm thinking right now, I'll need to poll around a little bit on this, but I'm thinking we might try to get another hard fork in say 3 months after this one's released. That's kind of an aggressive schedule, but so I'm not 100% sure on it yet, but that's just what I'm thinking. So it means if that's the case, we don't really have to get but so much into this release. So if we even have to drop something another, I think that'll be fine.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess it depends on what we want to. This is really about vision basically, and what we want to do on the next hard fork. Because this one has mostly been about non-controversial changes, let's say.
Yes. Yeah.
But the next one will be probably some actual changes to the, let's say, business logic. So I guess it depends a lot of what we want to do. For instance, if we decide to, I don't think we can ship SMTs in 3 months.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, because we'll probably want to make a ton of changes. But that means we'll spend a ton of development time on other stuff. I mean, I guess it depends on how the community feels about it, if they really want SMTs at all.
Well, I think the strategy should be something sort of similar to what Bartek echoed earlier, which is we can tackle, of course, we got to collect a list of requirements, but we can tackle requirements that are short-term requirements and also ones that are long-term requirements, just with the understanding that the long-term requirements won't be targeted towards the next hard fork, but doesn't mean they won't be worked on in the meantime.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I mean, there are different, I guess, priorities when you do that kind of stuff. But I guess that's a good segue to, I guess, one of the small brainstorm points I wanted to have. I know Transistor has been pushing a lot lately on basically the idea of reducing the number of daily votes. In my opinion, I mean, why not? But it doesn't have. It has to be more than that. It's to me, the issue is 10 votes per day is that you have to constantly come, and it feels like a chore. Whereas if you allow your mana bar to go beyond 100%, or for it to recharge more slowly, or you could reduce the penalty if you vote at like 70 or 60%, and then allow votes to be higher than 100%, votes and non-votes, obviously. That way, you don't actually have to come every day, and you can, like, let's say you can take a weekend and then just distribute to see your votes whenever you feel like it. So it feels way more organic, where the way you distribute your votes, and not like where you are forced to come every day to do your votes. And inevitably, you just end up automating it, and you end up in the situation we are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the problem. I understand voting 10 times a day can be a lot of work. And I think this was one we'll have to throw open to the community to just see what people think.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, so I mean, that's interestingly enough, though, that's the kind of change that, while that's controversial because it does change the business logic, it's not necessarily difficult to code in terms of time. So that's why that's something that I don't think controversial is necessarily going to dictate the time at what hard fork it goes in. More is just the implementation time.
I don't know. I would tend to disagree. Like, I mean, let's say there is a lot of controversy and we have to do a complete poll via the two proposal system, etc. It will definitely
Well, yeah,
So
say
a
a
lot of
couple
stuff.
weeks, but I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you know, we're not going to run it for more than a couple weeks, right? So
Yeah, true.
considering development time could take months.
Speaking of the change, Reese, aka Guilty Parties, wrote, small stakeholders that use communities will want to vote more. The change is mostly only good for large stakeholders. If we're talking votes, we need to also justify the 6.5 day downvote curve, which is a good point.
Yeah, I think that the downvote curve definitely needs to be, well, in my opinion, fixed is what I'd call it. But yeah, it's something that should be tackled. But certainly, again, we throw it open and discuss it. But I suspect most people will see.
Yeah, sure. Another, I think we should just allow. I think we already discussed this in, I think it was dev meeting 4. We should allow downvote power delegation, which adds a bit of difficulty to. It's not that complicated, but it will complicate future development for SMTs. But in the end, I think it's just a necessary change because nobody will actually wants to use their have their name next to a vote.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that one much, one way or the other. I'm not sure how redelegating actually solves that problem, but I'm willing to be convinced.
Well, I mean, I guess we have time for that. I was initially thinking that it was pointless to delegate because, like, let's say you get a vote from Hive cleaners, and then you just look at who delegated the most, and you can go harass them. And so ultimately, I was like, yeah, it's pointless, just do trails. But as I noticed, a lot of people started trailing people, and then they got harassed directly. And very quickly, they stopped because they didn't want to have their name next to bad downvotes, because that happens now and then. Whereas then you can just delegate your, I mean, you can just delegate your downvoting power, and then people can, you can literally give it to, I call that, let's say, reverse curation. People who, instead of trying to find the gold nuggets, they try to find the worst piece of content, right?
Yeah, going with that reverse curation formula could be interesting.
Which is what I think CoreAngel tried to do as like a layer 2 solution, but that required regular delegations, which some people may not want to. I mean, I want to keep my power to myself, but I don't. But I'd be down to delegate my downvoting power to whatever initiative there is.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much my point on it, and also the fact that I noticed that pretty much. I mean, you noticed as well. Pretty much nobody is actually downvoting these days. And I guess it's kind of worth a shot to see if that's if that would be the added anonymity, I guess, that delegating would allow, would solve that issue or not. Because at this point, I guess we have to try everything, or we have to completely change the way curation and the reward model works. Because right now, it's definitely not working as intended, where everyone is voting, but nobody is downvoting really.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt there's not many people downvoting. I can't argue that point.
Is right. Delegating for reverse curation is a good idea. It's far too dangerous for regular users to engage in some. That's true. We've had some go beyond downvotes into off-platform threats. Yeah, exactly. And I guess let's
I mean, I totally agree. The problem that downvoting generally tends to have a lot of controversy associated with it. I mean, I've got a bot set up right now. I've got your bot set up right now to counter some votes from Rancho Relaxo, and every once in a while I get a message, why are you downvoting me?
Yeah, exactly. And the issue is stuff like my bot is that since it's not human, Rancho could very well start going rogue, and like he could upvote people so you don't vote them, and then just you vote, and now they are just you. He can just make you go for the bad guy just by downvoting a ton of people. And
yeah, don't give me any ideas.
But yeah, you get the idea, because
I trust me, I've thought through these scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, and me too. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me think we definitely need actual reverse curators, and no layer 2/bots will actually work, right? So yeah, just some thought. That would be the kind of stuff I'd like to see in Hard Fork 25, along with RC delegations, which I need to update. Oh god, there's a lot of stuff to update.
Okay, I know one of the things I want to get is the voter change as far as expiring votes after a certain amount of time, and probably in a couple different areas. I think not just witness votes either, but
the whole.
I think it should be considered for some of the other things, like for basically some of the multi-sig stuff too. So because I think what happens sometimes, accounts get delegated to other accounts, and then those accounts go away, the owner goes away, but those delegations, those basically, they're not delegations, they're authorizations. They just last forever.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, in that sense, you could even go as far as saying any basically any vest action, quote unquote, should have an expiration at some point, aka delegations, proxy,
Yeah,
witness voting,
exactly. That's right.
proposal voting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that I think will be very controversial. But we discussed about this already.
Generally, there seems to be yeah. I mean, it hasn't been discussed in the general case. It's been discussed pretty heavily in for witness voting. It's for direct witness voting, and I think there's mostly common agreement there. But yeah, extending it to other areas certainly needs to be discussed. But
anywho. Coming back to the rebranding change on the SPS to dev Fund files, my general question was, since you guys did the rebranding, do you want to do it, or should I do it?
I don't have opinion on it.
Okay.
I could ask the guy who worked on it most to see if he has any opinions, but he's not here today.
Okay.
Just I'll ask him later.
Yeah, just bring him. That's fine. So libraries update status. Good news for once. I think all of them are ready. dHive, Hive.js, Beam, and I think the others are small enough that it's fine. I mean, I don't have a status on them, but I think it's fine if they are not like ready as we go into Hard Fork 24. But all three of the main ones are ready, as far as I know.
Okay, so the only thing I'll add to that is that I don't think we can be 100% sure until we've launched a full Eclipse node with Hive and HiveMind functional.
Yeah, of course. But like all of the, I guess let's say the bulk of the work is done, and now it's mostly just testing, which is good news.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that could take a while.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so in terms of testnet nodes, that would be in 2 weeks then, right?
1 to 2 weeks, yeah. I hope
Okay.
1 week, but 2 weeks could be the case.
Yeah, I see. I asked Inertia about some if you had any updates on the documentation, which is something where we could use a rebranding sweep, I guess. But he hasn't replied, and as far as I know, it's not done. So probably something we'll have to get on at some point. Also, we should try to get some documentation on core development, which is something that's lacking heavily. But yeah, and then that would be quite easy.
Bartek made a comment about Beam.
We're very interested in getting Beam fixed, since we're using it to do our regression testing. And you guys are using an internally modified version, but it's better to move to the regular one. Well, as far as I know, he was like the first one to update the rebranding change, right? I know he's very active, so.
Do you know specifically what needed to be fixed, Bartek or Gandalf?
Yes, generally there have to be fixed transaction building, because original version of Beam, because of changed token names and serialization issues didn't work correctly. There are also several other changes. Actually, I don't know exactly what they changed because one of our Python guys did it, and he's not here right now. But definitely he had to fix few things in this library to get anything to work. So I'd like to get a valid version from author and try to use it in our continuous integration system and see it if our tests will pass with it. Since we would like to use version prepared from some other party, not developing Beam internally. So we have enough code to develop and maintain. So
Is that Holger that's responsible for that?
yes, as I remember from discussions to our internal developers, it is Holger which is maintaining such library. So if he could provide us some version for testing, it will be very helpful.
Well, I know he's quite responsive on Mattermost, so we could probably ping him there.
As I remember, he discussed it with one of our developer involved into rebranding changes. So
cool.
maybe he will answer again.
Okay. Did you guys share with him your changes to make it work?
I'm not sure because I need to consult it with author of our branch used, for example, during testing HiveMind and some parts of Hive too. So definitely this should be cleared and used everywhere. There's some version I expect a version to be used by other clients too.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that's about all of the stuff I had today, because it was mostly about thinking on Half-Life 24 and where we are at. Do you guys have any other points?
I don't. Just other than saying we've got a lot of testing still to do on HiveMind side.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I'm very excited to actually get my hands on that. Is there anything published yet? I mean, do you feel it's stable enough for me to poke at it?
No, I think we want to get through testing first. So I expect that we have a week at least of testing on HiveMind side.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I guess I'll continue on Hive and because I think there is quite a few unit tests that could be done that are not done, or stuff that are done a bit quickly, where you
Sounds
just
good.
test the happy path and not the rest. So yeah, I guess I'll get on that. And yeah, that was a short one.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you in 2 weeks, I guess.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.